Hey, this is Al Angelo from A Plus Racing, in case you didn't know already. So I got a comment from a subscriber that talks about his car is lacking some power and this and that. And so I wanted to go ahead and show all of you what I'm talking about when I say check for high pressure on the fuel pump. All right. So the way this fuel pump system works is it has a feed line coming up through one of these hoses, one of these two right here, and it goes to the injectors, and then it goes all the way through the injector rail. It goes to the fuel pressure regulator valve, which is on this side, and then the fuel pressure regulator valve, it goes back to the gas tank. Okay, so there's a feed line to the injectors, then the fuel pressure regulator adjusts the fuel pressure as needed, and then it sends back what you don't need. So what I've done is I've tapped into the feed line. All right. So right here, I've tapped in a fuel pressure gauge into my feed line. This is a 1.8. So the feed line is on this side. And a 1.6, the feed line is on this side. So this is a feed line. And this other one right here is the return line. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start up the car. And you're probably going to see the gauge go to around 45 pounds. And that's pretty normal. 45 pounds is really normal for a fuel-injected car like this. All right. And then what I'm going to do after that is I'm going to see what's the maximum pressure the fuel pump puts out. And this is going to tell me whether or not the fuel pump is good or bad. Now, we do have a problem with this car. So the problem is that it doesn't always start. So we've been kind of checking out things, and we were changed out the computer and the mass airflow and the coil pack. We might have to change out the cam angle sensor. And for kits and grins, I wanted to see what the fuel pump was putting out. So hopefully it starts. Okay, so that's where we're at with this car here. So I'm going to go ahead and try to start it. And then you go ahead and you watch the fuel pressure here. It should be about 45 pounds. Okay. All right, let's see if I can get my big foot in there. Okay. Mike, can you pump the throttle out there? So this is the problem we're trying to fix. Yeah, I might have to have you start it. Once it starts, it runs okay, but it's got this goofy problem. But I'm going to figure it out. Okay. So as you can see, 45 pounds. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to come over to the fuel return line, and I'm going to pinch it off. Okay, so just like this with a pair of pliers, and I pinch it off, and boom. See how it's like 80 pounds? So that's my maximum fuel pressure that the fuel pump can put out. If you've got like 60, then that's too low. And what that's going to cause, it's going to cause the car to have lack of power. So let me turn the car off, and then I'll explain to you why. Okay, so here's the deal. Remember I told you that the fuel pressure regulator sends back fuel to the gas tank that you don't need. So at an idle, a lot of fuel ends up going back to the gas tank because it doesn't take much for the car to idle. At wide open throttle, very little fuel will be going back to the gas tank because we're using it to go fast. So if the fuel pump starts to get weak, and the maximum it can only put out is 60 pounds, then what's going to happen is when you're at wide open throttle, there's going to be no fuel going back to the fuel pump or the gas tank, and the fuel pump's not putting out enough fuel for the car to go fast. So therefore, you're going slower. And what happens is over time, this kind of creeps up on you. It's like I remember when mine did it the first time. It was like I was doing everything I could to try to cut the fastest lap I've ever cut. And I just kept going slower and slower and slower. And I couldn't figure it out till somebody tipped me off that, hey, you could have a bad fuel pump. And I checked it, and sure enough, I only had 60 pounds of fuel pressure when I pinched it off. That's not enough fuel pressure for wide open throttle application. I put a new fuel pump in the car, bam! The thing was like a V8, man. It was gone. I was gone. So it makes all the difference in the world. For those of you that are having problems where you think that the car's not quite fast enough, this is an easy little test. These testers are fairly inexpensive. I saw them online for like 40 bucks. And you can buy one of these, tap it into your fuel system, and you'll be able to check that out. Okay? Hey, I hope this helps my buddy that was having that fuel problem. And thank you guys for subscribing. Thank you for watching the videos. Once again, thanks for making this the #1 Spec Miata repair channel in all YouTube. You guys have a great day. Bye now.